This is Contacts, Cruse Control's contact management software. Here's the main menu, and we've got various buttons here. We've got Contacts, which takes us through to the file where you can see all the people. Companies, which obviously takes us through to the companies file. And we've got various other buttons that I'll show you through as we go through the demonstration. The first button I'm going to click on is the companies file. Here you see you've got company details, and on this portion here you see all the people who are associated to that company. As you click through the file, you'll see other companies and their associated contacts. Clicking on this View button here will take you through to this person's contact record, where we've got some additional information such as his position, and you can put in his direct phone number and personal email address on this screen. We've got ways of categorising people and companies here, which are all editable by yourself, and you can define those categories on this screen here. So you just choose whatever information you want to store for your own particular organisations. And clicking the Contacts button here takes you straight back to the screen that you were on. And you can simply click, for example, which business sector somebody's in, the size of their company, and how many staff they've got, and all this information is searchable. When you put somebody onto the system, you're probably going to want to know is where you got their details from. How did they find your organisation? So you can build up this list if you want. You can put specific codes for particular advertisements that you ran. You might find that a particular agency is very good at referring people to you, and it's always good to know that kind of information. So you can choose from your list and put those details in. You can use this field to say the date that somebody actually contacted you. Many people find that they'll have somebody's details knocking around on a business card for a couple of months before actually entering them on the database, and it might be very useful to know exactly when you first contacted them as compared to when you actually put them on the system. So let's put a date in here. So we contacted them 10th of 1st, 2003. Okay. Within your organisation, you might specify somebody as a project manager, the main person that's going to look after this particular client, who will know them quite closely. And again, you've got an editable list here of people within your organisation that might be used. So we can say that this person is going to be looked after by John Smith. Okay. A couple of neat little buttons here. Christmas card, if somebody's on your Christmas card list. And I'll come back to this one, but you can check whether or not you're going to mail to somebody on this button here. You can put important comments such as only in on Thursdays or whatever. You might want to hold some details about their children's birthdays, or anything similar to that in the important comments, things that you're going to want people to see when they first look at this record. To add a contact, very, very simple. You've got two ways of doing it. You can add a contact pressing this button, which I'll show you in a second. If somebody has already got a company on the system, for example, Abacus Marketing, you can literally add on the next available line somebody's details. So we're going to say that Lisa Jameson works also at this organisation, and simply by typing her name in there, we've now added her to the database, and she's picked up all the address details that were there originally. You could have also added a contact by clicking the Add Contact button here. And what it's going to ask you for here is the first name, surname, postcode and company. And it will actually check on the system to see whether or not that person exists as well. So we're going to put person's details here. the continue button, it hasn't found another company of the same name or a person of the same name, so it's added you a record, and it automatically adds the person in, so you don't have to rekey any of those details. And then you can just put in an address. Okay. And then the system's all set up with that person on it. You can also, in the links screen, put some web addresses. So for example, we're going to put our cruise control web address in here. Some companies have got multiple websites that that they use for marketing purposes for their organisation, and you can store all of those in this particular menu here. And any person who's at Downs & Co will be able to have all of these associated to them. And you simply click the Go button and it launches the website. So it means that you can keep in touch with that organisation's promotional details quite easily. And then you can very simply quit it again and you're back in the database. You can also link files, and these can be of any type. You can link PowerPoint presentations, Excel spreadsheets, anything of that nature. So we're going to set up a new link by literally pressing the new link button. It goes through the system. I've set up a dummy file here, which is a Word document. I choose it. It's now linked. We click open and it fires it up directly from the database. If this was stored on a shared server, other people could also look at files that you'd stored. So if you've been quoting a company, you can also store a file on a shared server and everybody else would know what quotes and correspondence you'd had with that person. Again, quit and you're straight back into the database again. Now here's the key strength of this system, which is the activity log. You can create diary appointments, phone calls that you need to make in the future. You can write letters, faxes and emails and store all those details within the system itself. So we're going to set up a new activity and we're going to say that it's an appointment. Straight away it marks it as pending. If it doesn't mark it as pending, you can check the box yourself, because you might want to make, for example, a phone call that happens in the future, so you might want to mark that as pending. The system will automatically use the name of the person who's set up in the preferences as the name that comes up in here, but it will offer you other staff members. So I'm going to say Helen Cruse, and then the subject I'm going to put in is meeting at his office. Continue. Brings you through to this screen here, and you can type in the basic details. You need to put in a date, so let's choose something in the future. And you can choose a time either from the pull down menu, or you can type something in yourself, and you can also choose a duration if you want to. So it's going to be a half-hour meeting. There's also a tag system as well, which can be accessed from the same area that the categories information is stored. And I'm going to say, well, in fact, it's an external meeting, I'm going to be out of the office. Okay. If I now go through to the diary and I look at my diary, for example, and I'm going to go forward a couple of weeks, and I will see that it's in my diary for that particular day, and I can check back and see all the details on that screen. Equally, when I go back to the contacts file, I will see that that appointment is now stored against this contact, and it says quite clearly that HC is the person that's going to be having this meeting. In the archive area, we can store letters or emails that we've sent out. Again, new activity. Let's create a letter. It's me that's doing it. Subject is introduction. It's the first letter we've sent him. You can either type a letter in from scratch on the screen, or you can choose it from a predefined list of letters, which I'll show you how to create in a minute. We've got a first contact letter here, and we can just paste it. This will be something we'll send brochure details with, and we can also put an automatic signature in at the bottom of the screen. All this layout is totally customizable, so if you've got your own headed paper and you don't want any details on here, you can take all of these logos and addresses off, and you can also change all the fonts to suit and change the margins so that it fits on your paper. If you know this person by a different name, or maybe you want to be more formal and you want to say Mr. Grimes, you can choose another salutation and it will paste that in for you. So it's very, very simple. It uses the information that's actually there in the database. And you can preview your letter so you can see what it's going to look like before you print it out. And then you simply print your letter. If we go back to the contact file, we can now see that this letter is also stored, so anybody else within your organisation can monitor the correspondence you've had with somebody. Another key type of correspondence you might want to send is an email. Just going to put it in as a test. Now, if we put his email address in the main database, it would have pulled it through automatically, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to put another email address in there. You can also put CCs in as well, and we could have sent that initial letter by email, so we can paste that as a standard letter, put our automatic signature in, tidy it up, click your send automatic email button, opens your email software and paste it in for you, and then you literally send it from the email software. And again, it's logged. Okay. From fairly much anywhere in the system, you've got a schedule button, so you can always go and check your diary. You can also check and make an action list. So you can say, for example, can I see all the pending appointments for Helen Cruse? And you can create a list, and it will bring you a list of everything that you've got that's pending on the system. A couple of other neat things in the setup file. From here you can put your logo and your address details. Those will populate the letter. You can also go to the staff file, and here's where you add all the staff details, the initials you want to use, and the information that's put in here is what's used to create the automatic signature at the bottom of your letters. This also controls the whole diary function on your system. Go back to the setup file again. A very neat feature we've got here is an automatic import feature. Many people may well have information stored on Excel spreadsheets, in other databases, on Palm Pilots, and even in packages such as Entourage. In which case, providing you get the data out into a comma delimited or tab delimited file, you could import it into here, and this tool will make sure that it gets uploaded onto the database properly. Not only that, it'll also check to see whether or not somebody is already on the system and alert you that they're potentially a duplicate. So we click on import data, and it will go and ask us, where is the file that we want to import? Well, we've prepared one here. It's just a simple Excel spreadsheet, and it's asking us, because it's an Excel spreadsheet, is the first row field names, which it is. So we're going to say OK, and then we map the fields. We say, right, first name needs to go into the first name field. These are the fields that are in our Excel spreadsheet. These are the fields that are in our database. First name, surname, company, address 1, address 2, address 3, county, postcode. I do believe there's a job title down here. Yes, let's bring up the job title, which goes with the position. I haven't got a country defined. Email address. And I think there is a mobile phone number. When you've mapped all your fields, you click import, and it's already told us that 2 of the people we've imported are likely to be duplicates, so it won't actually import those into the database. And we can print a list of those duplicates for checking. Everybody else that's it's imported, we can update onto the database. So we literally press process, and we confirm that process. We confirm that process. Now we know everybody's duplicates because they're on the system, and we delete everything on here. If we go back to the menu, go to contacts, we find that it's put in 3 extra people, and in the company file we've now got 4 company records. It's also added yet another person to this particular company because it already found it on the system. So it's a very efficient way of uploading data onto the system. So the only other major key area that I haven't shown you is mail merges. You can mail merge to letters or you can mail merge to emails. If we click mail merge, it just asks you for your search criteria. Now, as we haven't got that many people on this system, I'm going to do a very simple search that says find me everybody, which we do by putting an asterisk. And it asks us to check the found set. 11 records. Yes, I'm quite happy with everything I've found. I want to continue my mail merge. It's asking me to type in my letter and choose the type of activity that I want. So I'm going to actually do this as an email mail merge. And again, everybody on here is my first contact. So I'm going to do first contact mail merge. I'm going to paste the standard letter. It's going to be from me, and I'm also going to put in my automatic signature. Okay. And then all I have to do is merge it to emails. By clicking this button, it will generate an email for each person. And that's a lot quicker, for example, than if you were going to do each one manually. And they're all individually addressed with the dear and the salutation coming through. And when you're happy with those, you simply send them. Not only that, everybody on the database has a copy of the email stored, so you know that they've definitely received them. On from that, if you've done those as letters, you may well then want to actually print labels for them. If we go into list view, you can see a list of all the people, and we can go to the print menu and choose which label type. You can add your own label types as well with a button so that it goes directly to them. And we're going to preview the Avery labels here. Choose our printer, and it will preview your label sheet. If you're happy with it, you continue and print them out. We've got some other quite simple features that can be used. If you want to use the address to take out of the system for anything, a neat little button called copy address. You click it, and then you can go off into another application and just paste all the address details. Saves you having to print it out and put them in manually. Also, you might have inherited a database that has many duplicate companies. Sometimes the addresses are spelt differently. Sometimes even the company name, for example, may say LTD for some and limited at the end for others. So what you can do, and I shall set you up an example of this, I'm going to duplicate this record and call this one Abacus Marketing Limited, and put in a person against this one that I actually want to be in the first record. So we've got this company here, all the details of this are the same, but I just want to move this person. And I can press merge, and it tells me, it enables me to merge many contacts into one address. So I'm going to ask for Abacus. It's found me 2. Okay, I don't want Abacus Marketing Limited. I want to merge all the ones I've found into Abacus Marketing. And I'm happy that this address is correct. Actually, I've noticed the postcode is wrong. I can change that. When I'm happy, I can say, yes, I want to merge to this address. It confirms that I do want to do that. It leaves the last one blank. It's moved Tom Smith into this address. And I'm happy that this one can now be deleted. So I can delete that record, and I'm left with everything merged into one. And that's contacts.